so this is my watercolor Q-tip tree. And like I was saying earlier, I made this project mostly for people who who couldn't really hold a paintbrush. But so instead we use Q-tips. So I'm going to be using brown and green for the middle portion, but you can also use purple as well. And you can kind of see the differences between the combined two colors, green and brown in this one for the trunk, or brown and purple for this one for the trunk. And of course, the greens are going to be very similar. And what I am going to be doing is going through with my Q-tip, and we'll wet it with the water. Then we'll take our paintbrush pan or our paint pans. And this is what I'll show you first before I dive into it with the markers. I'll show you the watercolors first. And then we'll dive in with the cotton swab and create our trunk first. And then we'll move into these, I'm just going to call them the secondary branches. They're the ones that really veer off upwards or to the sides. They're a little bit thicker, but they're not the thinnest ones or the thickest one. And then we'll go ahead and make a bunch of our much smaller ones around here. And then later on, we'll move on to another Q-tip, or at least the other side, and we'll create the foliage in the trees. So it's pretty fun. You'll notice that there's two different types of greens in here. And I'm trying to remember, I want to say I used the regular green, and I also mixed the regular green with some yellow. So first I did this one, and then I went off to the side and I mixed a little bit of both yellow and green. So we'll do a little bit of mixing if you're doing if you're using the watercolors. So we'll get to that. I'll explain everything again afterwards. And then down here, same thing. I use the same two greens that I did before in my tree up here. And I made all of my my grass down here on the bottom. And then afterwards, I decided to add some blue bonnets. And if you take enough classes with me, this is going to be the first time you're going to see blue bonnets, because I'm from Texas. They're everywhere. They're in full bloom right now. So they're just gorgeous to see along the highway. So you'll probably see more blue bonnets, but feel free to add any color, any type of flower you want. And I'll show you how to tap them into your picture, like so. So again, I will repeat all of this as time goes on. If you're using markers, it is a little bit of a different technique, because of course you have, you've got different colors to choose from, usually more colors to choose from. And as you also have a marker tip too. So I'm just going to show you really quick. I'm not quite going to begin, but I want to show you the technique. If you're using a marker, you are most likely going to have to draw your tree out. And that's just the beginning. And then you'll take your Q-tip with some water on it. You see how it spreads like that? And I'll show you again, but I just wanted you to see that really quickly so that you know what I'm talking about. So, but again, I'll show you in a little bit.
You make it look so easy.
That's what it really was. It looks like a tree. Good Lord have mercy.
I've done a lot of trees. I've made a lot of trees.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So, gonna get my watercolors ready. Gonna get my very first Q-tip. And let's go ahead and get some water. And I'm just gonna tap a little bit of my brown first, like so. Now, before I actually put the paint down, I want to kind of point on the paper, point to where my tree is going to be situated. We want a lot of overhead room up here for our foliage, for our leaves. So I'm probably going to want to put my tree trunk right about here. Because I'm a weirdo, I don't know. I don't like to center it completely. I don't like to put it in the center. I like to be off a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. But you're more than welcome to put it in the center or put it on the other side if you want. And I will also leave some space down here for the tree roots and the grasses and all that good stuff. So just kind of trace it out with your finger before you begin. And I'll let you do that for a second. The tree trunks, let me show you a picture. Tree trunks are always going to be thickest at the bottom, and then they're going to get a little bit thinner as they go upwards. Same thing with the other one. Thickest at the bottom, get a little bit thinner as they go upward. We'll have to draw that in, draw the two sides in. Plenty of space here. Want to make sure of that. Go on either side of the tree trunk. There we go. You can see that. I'm going to grab a little bit more. You can see it a little bit better. You see how I'm filling it in by going up and down and up and down. Picking up the Q-tip as needed. Looks a little funny out here. It's pretty loose. They don't really have any place to go, but we'll fix that in a moment. And what we'll be doing is moving downward. I know at first I talked about moving upward, but actually I want you guys to move downward first, which I'll show you in a second. So I think, so Elizabeth, would you like me to repeat what I said about the tree with the markers? Oh, is she here? Oh, where is she? Okay, I guess she's not here. I guess if she comes back on, it'll be here. Hi, Brandy.
Hi there.
Hey there. Good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, we just started on our trees.
Okay.
Just so you know. Yeah, so watercolor trees. This is the picture. We're using Q-tips, paper, watercolors, water, and a napkin. The napkin is just in case we need it.
I'm gonna try and take a picture of that, but
You need me to hold it right there?
okay, perfect. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. You're welcome. Now we just started off with the tree, and I want to show you. This is my Q-tip. We're probably just going to use maybe like 2 colors or 1 color per end of the Q-tip. And then I'll just repeat real quick. When I did the trunk of the tree, I wanted to make sure I had plenty of space at the top, plenty of space at the bottom. And I started on the sides like this. And then I started filling it in, going upwards and downwards. Now, this next portion. Now, this is for those of you who want to get a little bit more fancy with it and not be simple. Okay, I added purple to this tree trunk right here. And I added green to this tree trunk right here. So if you want to do that, pick your color. And for me, I'll go ahead and use the clean end of the Q-tip. See that? And perhaps I'll do I'll do purple. Why not? You guys can choose green or purple. And while it's still wet, it's still very wet here. And if yours isn't very wet, then you can put more of the same brown on there. But you go right on top of your brush strokes and mix it up right there on the piece of paper. And I could see all of my purple just kind of disappeared. So I grabbed some more and go up and down and up and down. So now it's a slightly more complicated color. And that's all, it's just a slightly more complicated color. So for all of the brush strokes that we make from here on out with the brown paint, I'm gonna follow that up with my color of choice. So my purple here. Oops. So moving downward to the roots kind of follow the path of the earth down here. So they go up to the side. Sometimes they move in and out, up and down, sometimes depending on the tree. So I'm gonna follow that line. Gonna scrape it that way, kind of like fling it that way, kind of fling it a little bit this way. I can come down here. I need to grab more paint. So I grab more paint. Kind of twist it like that. Just like our tree trunk, it's always going to be thicker closer to the base here. So that's a little squiggle right there. It's going to be pretty thin right here because that's just how it goes. And I'm just going to kind of lead it into my tree trunk. Lead it upward like that. Trail it upward if you want to call it that. Now I fixed my lines here. I didn't like my lines here, so I just kind of extended them. Extend them from the roots upward into the tree. Kind of feather it in if you need to, just depends on you. Now, your tree trunks can go different directions or not. It is up to you. And then just like we did with the tree trunk, let's follow that up with some purple. Basically retracing our steps. So I started here, first time around, went that way. I ran out of purple, so I'm gonna get some more. Come this way. There we go. And I can, once again, lead them into the tree. Upwards. Lead it upwards. Next step is to take a deep breath, because that's important too. When you're painting, when you're concentrating, breathe. Pick your face up away from the paper a little bit. Can't wait. Does anyone have questions? All right. You guys, I'm so proud of you.
Does it look good, tree?
What was that? I can move on into the branches if you guys are okay with that. All right, take that as a yes. Cool. So our painting is still very wet, so we are good to, I lost my Q-tip. There it is. We are good to start moving upward now. And let me go ahead and show you these branches. There we go. So what I can do is pick up right where I left off on the tree trunk using my brown and move upward into the side over here. Then I'll probably jump this way. You can see a V shape right here, very abstract V shape. Or if you want to look at this way, you can see a W like that, kind of W-ish like that. So it's up to you how many tree branches you'd like to draw in there. Let me show you the other one. This one right here, also a V shape. So that's what I'm going to start with, and then I'll put another one in the middle. And these will be my secondary branches. That's just my name for them. I don't know what they're really called, but they are the second largest branches, I guess. Start right here. Move to the side. And make it just a little bit thicker. I'm not going to move too much that way. And then I'm going to jump to the other side. It is okay to keep picking up your brush, your Q-tip. Maybe I want this one to go upwards a little bit. I'm going to thicken it up a little bit because it's looking a little bit scraggly. I am going to make it a little bit thicker up here because it's supposed to be the secondary branch. And honestly, you can see on my picture where I kept picking up my Q-tip. And that works to our advantage because trees are going to be very knotted. They're not going to be smooth at all. And that shows up whenever we pick up our Q-tip. So it works out really nicely. And then right in the middle, you can make it go straight upwards, or you can make it go slightly off to the side. Now these things right here where I picked up my Q-tip there, I'm just going to turn these things into branches. If there's ever a spot you don't like or just didn't really turn out very nicely, turn it into a branch. Or if you don't like your branch later, cover it up with some leaves. It'll work out. Now, the next ones will be a little bit thinner. Let me just kind of show you. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add purple. I'm going to add my second color to it. And then I'll make the other ones. So if you have a second color, now is the time to add it. Once again, retracing your steps. Like that. There we have it. Anytime you're ready, you can go in and start to make your smaller branches by pressing down a little less hard. Now, trees, they often have smaller branches up at the top there. And it'll take a few branches to get the hang of it. But think about it this way. Trees are always going to want to reach for the sun. They're always going to go outward, upwards and outwards. So think about that. Every branch is going to go upwards and outwards, upwards and outwards. upwards and outwards, like that. And have some in the middle. It's, in my opinion, it's can be a little bit difficult to figure out how many branches to put in the middle there. And I do highly encourage you to make your branches go off the page. Trees have to be, they have to have a lot of foliage, at least these do. And so on this page, where I've placed it, I'm not going to be able to see the full picture. That's just because of where I put it. So we're going to compromise by making it go off the page. If it helps you to make smaller brushes, like brush strokes like these over here, you can kind of take a look at your Q-tip and just sort of try to figure out where the thin edges are. Like mine's right about here. And see if you can try to make something there. Do your best to press down lightly as much as you can. Now, if you're using markers, then this will be easy. This will be pretty easy time. You're basically using your markers to create the same types of branches. And then once again, I will, whenever I'm done, I'm going to do my best to retrace my steps with the purple. Although I'm not going to do all that much, simply because a lot of these up here are going to be covered with green. So I'll just put a little bit here and there. Any questions? And even if your hand is a little bit wobbly, it works out because it's a tree. It doesn't really, it's not supposed to be perfectly straight. Right now, my little tree kind of looks like it's in the middle of dead winter, but we're gonna get some leaves soon. Any questions? Is it okay? Awesome. Super cool. Is there anyone else who used a second color in addition to their brown? Oh, nice. A lot of you guys. Nice. Yeah, a lot of this greenery at the top, it will be covered by, well, a lot of these branches will be covered by the greenery. So don't be too worried if you can't really get those branches as thin as you would like them to be. And kind of give you an example right there. And actually, maybe I can go in and show you how to make some of these thinner lines. You know how sometimes trees have like smaller branches growing from their trunks? That's what this is. I think I can show you another one like it. So there's a smaller branch going out that way. So you can add that at any time, actually. Just kind of wet the brown side of your Q-tip. And I always go for the areas that don't really have very much. Like right here just doesn't really seem to have too much. And it's a little bit asymmetrical. So maybe I can fix it a little bit like that. Tried to make it a little bit thinner than that, but it didn't really happen. And that's okay. I still like it though. Did anyone work on any creative things in the last week? Judy, did you work on anything? Oh, you're muted.
I'm officially done with my centerpieces.
Woohoo! Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. How does it feel?
Good, good.
Good. I'm
But
happy for you.
I do get spasms in my hands.
Oh.
My work that I used to do, I think contributed a lot to that. But so sometimes the more I work this hand, the more I have issues later in the evening. But
Gotcha.
so this is great. I'm right-handed. I can do this with my hand. So.
Nice. Good, good.
But it is important to take that into account, with
Yeah.
a lot of fine motor stuff that we do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Yeah, sometimes I would like, at least especially with tree paintings, I would lean into the fine motor skill issue.
Yeah.
And tree branches are great for I guess taking that unsteadiness and uneasiness that comes with holding something. Trees are not straight branches. They're usually very wobbly. And so it works to your advantage with that kind of brushstroke. So I don't know, I love trees. Excited about the next part. Give you
I did a tree. I went camping this weekend and we were in a place that was affected by wildfires in North Carolina and in a mountain. And so I had found while driving, there was, no leaves yet. So it was all just brown sticks. But then like in the middle, there was just this like one completely, and there was like some little burned places on, but mostly it was just like normal there. But then there was like this one completely black tree. And so I drew that. It looks a little, but then there's also like dogwoods that were popping up.
Oh, wow.
Wait, there we go. So like I tried to like show this like one, it was so weird. It just, I don't know, it just stuck out. Caught my eye for sure. But
wow. Can you show it up again?
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, it was so weird. Dogwoods are hard, like all the little tiny purple dots.
That's beautiful though. What did you use for that?
That was watercolor. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just stuck my hand into our tree watercolor, and now I've got a bunch of weirdly whoops. Well, that sucks.
Oh no.
I don't know how to fix that, but maybe we'll do something that'll fix that.
Yeah. Where is it on the picture?
Yeah, it's those like little.
Oh, I see it right there.
Yeah,
I see it. You could turn it into a branch.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, and then just add some of the foliage, like the green leaves on it later.
Okay.
There's always a fix. Always. Love it. What do you think? We think we're ready to make some greens?
Yay.
All right, let's do it. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to be using two types of greens. I will be actually making the lighter green first, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll just go for the regular green after that. And I think earlier I'd mentioned that we would do the darker green first and then the light, but no, I take that back. It's always a better idea to, whenever you're using watercolors, go from light, use all your lights, to your darks. Darks being the very, very last thing that you use. And I do want to give this a moment to dry. I mean, mine's had a few moments to dry. So, you know, if you guys get the chance to maybe fan it off a little bit, that might be a good idea. Although I'm thinking we might actually start down here and give your branches a little bit of a chance to dry. So let's actually start down here. Let's make that lighter green. Let's get a new Q-tip, new one now. And for me, I'm gonna have to wipe off some space right here. I always love to use the lids of the watercolors to mix different colors. Now mine's dirty, so let me just kind of wipe it off real quick. Yeah, these are always really great. And in fact, most watercolors, watercolor tins will come with a line, a little piece of plastic in between each section. And it's specifically for dividing your colors off and mixing.
Oh,
So,
never do that.
yeah, yeah. Very thoughtful of them.
Yeah.
Now let's take some yellow. That will be our first color. And I'm gonna really try to saturate this cotton swab with lots of water, lots of yellow, and transfer as much as I possibly can onto this side. I'm gonna roll it around, grab some more, roll it around again, grab some more water, do whatever you need to do to really get a lot of this pigment onto this side. Even looks like you can even scrape it like this. Do what you can to get lots of it off. Now, if your watercolors are not that expensive, then it is absolutely okay to get a little more water and double dip into the green. I wouldn't do this if you've paid a lot of money for it because you don't want to contaminate it too much. But some of the beginner paintbrush palettes, they blend very nicely in the pan. So I've got my green and I'm gonna mix a whole bunch of it. And once again, I'm going to get more of my green color and put basically enough green to where you're happy with it, just as desired. See how I can kind of squeeze that off and then come in and mix it all up. I think I might do well with a little bit more green. So really just to where you can, where you like your green, as long as it's a light green. Okay, so I've got that. Got my light green now. And I can jump down to the bottom. And do you see all of this here? This is basically scribble, like scribble, scribble, scribble all the way around. You can scribble in patches if you like. Let me show you the other one. More scribbles here. You guys know by now, I love scribbling. I did put some of the dark patches of grass in here, and it's more moving the Q-tip upwards. It's not quite scribbling, so we'll get to that in a moment. Take a spot down here, maybe somewhere in the middle. Scribble, scribble, scribble. You can move your hand up and down. Pick it up a little bit. Make your scribbles a little bit more wide if you want. Keep them all in a little patch if you want. Get more color when you run out. Keep it in a little patch like I did right here. Basically using my wrist Really getting my wrist in there. When you're ready, I know that was really fast, but it's just kind of how scribbles go. So whenever you're ready, you can dip into your green paint, and you can just get that green by itself if you want to. And come over here and put in your dark patches of grass. Darker, I should say. Now, for me personally, my dark green looks very similar to my light green. So if you're like this, then this is what you can do. We can change it up a little bit. See, my green, very similar to each other. So what we can do is do the same kind of mixing if you're this way. Get your green, and then your second color will actually be your blue. Green and blue create a much darker green. To do the same thing. And I'm just mixing it in here just because I don't have another clean spot. So don't do exactly as I do. I just don't have a clean spot. There we go. Now I have a much darker green. So I'm going to go in, make my little patches. That's much better. I like that a lot more. Now, if you'll notice, I went over my light green patches with dark green, just to make some of them stand out a little bit. Once this dries, then I'll be able to put some flowers in there much later. We'll probably do that after our leaves up here. So this weekend, I'm just dying to tell somebody. This weekend, I made a mural with a team, with a whole bunch of people. I worked on a mural at the VA here in town. And let me tell you, I'm still recovering from that. It was like 3 days that we split our time on. And I didn't get enough rest in any of those days. And but I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm just out of spoons. That's what it is.
That's
That
awesome.
sounds awesome, though.
It was so fun. I've never, well, I shouldn't say never, but very few times in my life have I ever had to like delegate tasks and sort of like be the organizer for a huge group that we had. So it was pretty fun to do that with a mural this time. Because it was at the VA, so we had a bunch of veterans sign up ahead of time, and these veterans, they came in with their family or their caretakers, and they either worked on the garden, which was not my area, or they worked on the mural, which obviously was all me. And I basically told them how to hold the paintbrush, how to paint brick wall, which is difficult. It's really hard to paint a painting on a brick wall, but we did it. Yeah, all the holes, and it's so porous, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. I just remember there was this one elderly couple there, and they were both painting away at this one cactus. They painted the whole cactus by themselves. It was great. I'm dying to tell somebody.
It's not all done, is it?
It is finished. Yeah, it was a
Wow.
it was a whole
No wonder
thing.
you're tired.
It was 168 square feet is
Oh,
what
wow.
me and the team did. So it's a lot.
Do you have a picture?
Yeah. See if I can. Yeah, I gotta find it. I have one. Dun, dun, dun.
Like- Did you go and like stencil it on ahead of time or?
Yeah, so Thursday, we did all the priming first. So that took a while. Had to make all of the silhouettes of the flowers. So we did the priming, and then the next day we did the base coat, which was a blue. And we also did the outlines of all of the cacti on the bottom. Oh, here we go. I found one. Yeah, so we did the cacti on the bottom, and then that was Friday. And so on the day of the event with the veterans, we all had to furiously, very quickly mix up a bunch of paint beforehand so that people weren't left without any paint. And then, yeah, basically fill in the blanks for veterans. And then for myself, I had to work on the middle portion. So it was actually me and another artist that worked on the middle portion.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm looking for it. I got one. Got a picture. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Casey, can you make me host or co-host?
Sorry.
One of those. I'll just show you real quick and then we'll move on to the leaves. That's one of the most fun parts, the leaves. Oh, if you could, oh, here we go. Oh, Brandy, of course. Yeah, it was so fun. There it is. Can you guys see it?
No.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Very
beautiful.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Thank you. So the veterans, they painted the cacti on the bottom, so anything within reach. And then this middle portion is what I and the other artists did right there.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
It was a good time. Yay. Okay, leaves now. Let's do some leaves. This is the most fun portion in my opinion, and it's the last one. It may go quickly, I don't know. Again, we're gonna want some more of our lighter green, which we'll put in first, and then we'll go on top of it with our dark green. And for this one, you can definitely tell that I definitely mixed some blue in there. And I probably mixed a little bit of brown by accident, and it just ended up making like a much more muted green. Like right here, that's definitely by accident right here, but it works out very nicely for this picture. So because my previous Q-tip is pretty messy, pretty blobby, I'm gonna get a new one and start the paint making process over again. So, but I've got enough to show you at least. At first, I'll start at the top area, sort of try to go around it. you can see that I'm again also scribbling like this ish. I'm making rounder brush strokes like that. I have lots of space in between my curlies here. See that? It's just naturally moving into the green. You gotta make more paint so I can show you. There we go. If you want, you are more than welcome to jump from side to side. If maybe you don't know where to go from here, you can start off on the other side and figure it out from there. What I like to do whenever I'm filling in a pretty big area like this, I like to look back and forth from one side to the next, just to see if it's symmetrical. So like I can see lots of paint over here, but not so much over here. So I'm going to concentrate over here. But always do that. That was probably one of the best lessons that my high school art teacher taught me, just to always dart back and forth, constantly looking at what you're doing all across the page. That way you can make it symmetrical. And at this point, I'm just mixing colors left and right. Even though I know some people would really hate this, mixing it, but I can't help it sometimes. I have plenty of spaces in between my round brush strokes here. And it's absolutely okay if by the time you move on to the darker green, if you don't have very much of the lighter green, it is okay to do that. Gonna put a little bit down here by this little branch. Spread that out. Now I think I'm ready for my dark green. So for me, I'm gonna make some of that. I have to remember I used the regular green plus blue.
So when I did that, mine looks kind of brown.
When you made your colors?
Yeah, the green and blue together. Like my grass, it looks like brown and then green.
Interesting. I wonder why.
User
Is
error,
there-
I'm sure.
What brand of paints you're using?
These, well, it's this, but it's yeah. So it wasn't like so my green is very light, and then I try to put it with blue, and then it turned brown.
Interesting. And I wonder if it's just the manufacturer. I don't think it's user error. I don't think so.
Yeah, let's blame them.
Yeah, it's got to be the manufacturer.
Okay.
What else can you use? I didn't see too many green options on there.
No.
I didn't think so.
I mean, I have watercolor pencils, but I've tried to now combine watercolor pencils with watercolor, and it doesn't seem to work so well.
Oh yeah, there's an order of operations for
okay.
that. Yeah, it is possible. Maybe one of these days I can give like a more advanced art lesson for those who have some of the supplies.
I'll just make all light green. That's fine. It's spring.
Yeah, it's spring. I'm glad you can improvise. So I'm adding blue to my green here, and it's making my lovely dark green. So for the dark green, I'm actually going to start on top of where I already have some of that green, and then just start moving it outwards. Start on top of your light green, move around the page. Now for me, I don't know if you guys can see this, but for me, I feel like that's a little bit too bluish green. So, and yours is probably not like this. We'll see. But if you want to, you can just go back and grab some regular green, mix that into everything else. So basically, it's totally okay to have a third green. I'm also going to start to cover a few more areas that don't have anything on them. But I also want to keep a few spaces that don't have any leaves in here, like maybe that one, maybe that one. I want to be able to have some areas where the sunshine peeks through. Any questions from you guys?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you control the, like, I mean, we're working with watercolor.
Mhm.
Like the trunk, I feel like I have too much water on it.
Oh,
Like it's almost
yeah.
like like it looks kind of stainy. So you have any advice in controlling the amount of water?
Well, I'm going to
You know, I mean, you want
recreate.
the flow, but yet.
So what you can do is get a dry Q-tip and take it and try to absorb some of that water. But you see how it's taking off some of the pigment here? You're gonna have to
Yeah.
stretch it. It's gonna look like a big old hole in the middle. Then
Yeah.
you go right back and get some more of that brown. And since a lot of that water is inside your Q-tip, you can go and try to replace it. Big brush strokes that span more of this area. Then wait for it to dry and you can do it again. Does that help a little bit? How's it turning?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Perfect. Now, last step would be flowers. So blue bonnets, if you want to do blue bonnets, you definitely don't have to. But these are, of course, very, very abstract versions of blue bonnets. I'm going to use green, but I want to say I also put a little bit of purple in there too. So blue. Now, this is a different technique than what we've been doing. We're not going to be scribbling anything. Blue bonnets tend to be like their petals seem to be a little bit far apart and they're taller. See that? And I do have some space in between little taps here. Keep some space. I'm aiming for the patches that don't really have too much of anything on top of them. So down here. Down here. They always grow together in the fields around here. They grow along the highways. They're so pretty to see in summer. I tend to make 2 flowers at a time. That's just like some habit that I developed. They always come in 2s when I paint them. Trying to break free of that habit. But of course, you can put any color flowers that you wish for. Any color. And as an option, I know I mentioned that there are, I put a little bit of purple in the blue bonnets. So I will recreate that. I probably should have used the dry end, but I never listened to my own advice. Tap that purple into the blue dots that are already there. I guess I am gonna switch it over to a clean section because I feel like the blue is just overtaking it. I think yep, that helped. It did help. I'm just gonna add a little bit of purple to the bottoms of my flowers. Just a little bit. And then that's it. Yay. How's everyone else doing? You want to show us their work? As long as it's not too wet though, because I wouldn't want some of the paint to drip down. So we can wait a second. Oh, Casey. Casey, that's gorgeous.
Oh, cool.
That is beautiful. I love that. There we go. Now we can see it. Beautiful. I'm loving your patches of grass down there. Just the variation in color is beautiful. Cool. Thank you, Casey. Anyone else? It's okay if you're still working. It's probably still drying. I'm going to pull up next week's lesson while you guys are finishing up. Where did it go? Okay, so let me go ahead and share with you next week's project. Dun, dun. Where is it? Here it is. I call this Fiesta Flowers.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's pretty.
This can be done, well, I did this one with markers, and I do have this like 20-piece set of markers. But you can also do it with colored pencil. You can do it with crayon. Either one of those will look beautiful. It's the same technique. And basically what I'll do is we'll draw the flowers first. Then we'll do the simple little circles that you see in lavender. And then we'll do squares or really any other shape you can think of. And then add all of this filler later. All this stuff out here. I don't know if you guys can see my my pointer, but all that filler comes later. And so it's a really easy way to make a drawing that looks a lot more complicated than it actually is.
Give me 1 second and I will post the link for signing up for next week in the chat.
Perfect.
Let's see, Fiesta Flowers.
Yeah, and I call it Fiesta Flowers because here in San Antonio, Texas, I don't know anywhere else that celebrates this, but we have Fiesta Week. And it's basically a springtime celebration. It's just people going out to have a good time, celebrating and making a bunch of tissue paper flowers. Yeah, all things spring. So there's always a bunch of festivities. And we hadn't had anything at all, obviously, for the last 2 years. So people are eager to celebrate Fiesta this year.
So I did put that link in the chat. If anybody loses it or needs more information about getting on our mailing list so that you always get the links, you can just reply to your registration email for today. That'll come to me and I'll take care of it for you.
Casey, would you be able to post the link to the YouTube channel that has all of our past videos?
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. Take your time. I just know that I tried to find it last time, couldn't find it quickly enough.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How come these watercolor sets don't have white in them? I wanted to make pink flowers.
Oh yeah. Some have white, some don't.
Mine doesn't.
Yeah, white as a pigment, it tends to translate very differently when you put it onto the paper. So usually if you add white, it looks completely different from the rest of the paint. And I think that's because white is very opaque and watercolors are very transparent. So it ends up looking very different when you add it to colors. So, but some watercolor sets do add white to it, just not this one. not what I have. Yeah, it's
I like flowers.
yeah. It makes it a little difficult to make more complicated colors.
Yeah. See, okay, so, all right, this is mine. I don't know if you can see it.
There we go, Judy. Let me put you on
I tried to make
spotlight.
pink flowers and I couldn't make pink flowers.
They're so pretty though.
This is what I mean by, I got too much water like in the middle and it dried and so it looks kind of like stained, what do you call it? Like water stained.
Mm-hmm. Instead of having the lines that go down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have redone it, just repainted something over it.
Yeah, I would wait just another 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then try to go over it again with your brown. But instead of sticking within the confines of the water stained area, go above it a little bit, like maybe reaching into the tree a little bit and stretch down much further. Try that. I think that'll fix it.
Okay.
Cool. Sometimes I feel like a doctor for artwork. Tell me what your symptoms are. Let me see if I can help you. Oh, Susie, let me spotlight you.
Yeah, I had a hard time with the flowers. I don't know, but
there we go. Oh, I love them. I love those flowers. I see what you mean. They're like like you can't really see the dots themselves too well
Yeah.
because they blended.
Yeah.
That is a tough one though. That is tough,
Yeah.
and you did well.
Yeah. So,
I
and then I
like
got
it
a little
though.
crazy with my grass a little behind the tree, but that's all right.
I'm still like in awe about of how grand the tree looks,
Oh,
because I feel like I'm taking a step back and this tree is still ginormous in the picture. It's
yeah.
beautiful. And I love the
I was tapping into my Bob Ross happy little trees.
happy
Yes.
trees. Yes.
Yay. I
Happy
love Bob Ross.
trees.
Happy tree. I might
I
have got
would-
a little crazy with everything, but
No, I love it though. You did so well with it.
thank you. That was fun.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm surprised nobody mentioned Bob Ross before. I'm surprised
Yeah.
anyone mentioned Bob Ross.
I did.
I was-
He's not here. I called it my happy little tree.
Yeah, the happy little tree. Yeah.
I was Bob Ross one time, like for Halloween one time, and
Oh,
also for my
nice.
birthday one time. I wore the wig and everything, and I dressed up just like him. Taught a painting class for my birthday
Oh,
as Bob
cool.
Ross. It was so fun.
Awesome.
Would anyone else like to share before we head on out? Brandy?
I have to run, but mine's too wet. And now that I've already smeared it before and I couldn't recover it, I won't show it.
That's okay. I appreciate the thought though.
Thank you.
Of course.
Good night all.
Good night, Brandy.
night.
Night.
Oh, awesome. So it looks like Casey put in
Thank you.
not only the link, but the YouTube channel as well. So feel free to copy and paste that into your browser.
Or like I said, you can always reply to your registration email, and I will provide you with whatever links or information that you need, or get you signed up for the newsletter so that you get the links every week in your inbox.
Mhm. Tammy, do you mind? I saw you put your camera on, and then we both jumped in. You're more than welcome to share again. So there you are, Tammy. There. Yeah, there we go. I can see
Oh,
it
there you go.
sometimes.
Oh,
There
cool.
we go. I love those roots down there.
Sorry.
Love it. Thank you, Tammy. Veronica, would you like to
Yep.
share?
I'll share. Kind of made
Yeah.
it a little bit bigger, but can you see? Uh-oh, I'm blurred. Oh no.
Barely. There we
Oh,
go.
there you go. Oh,
Oh, that's
the
nice.
sun coming down.
oh, cool.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Your colors are so bold.
Yeah.
I love them. It looks like there's a lot of what's the word, dimension in your trees.
Yeah.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Where'd that go, blurry?
Alright. One more before we take off.
So this technique kind of with the Q-tips, could you do acrylic paint with that? Would it kind of look as
Oh,
good? Or have you, I mean, I was wondering if it would
I
still
think it
kind of
could
work
work.
with acrylic.
Yeah, I think it could
Yeah.
work. I've never tried it, but
Yeah.
I feel like it would have to be either a lot of water on the Q-tip, or it would have to be a lot of acrylic. Like it's got to be really
Yeah.
wet with one or the other.
Yeah.
But I can
was just-
totally see it working.
yeah, I was just kind of thinking. I don't know. I like to
Yeah.
play with stuff.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Super cool, guys. I appreciate you guys coming to class. Appreciate getting to spend time with you guys. An hour a week just seems to fly by.
I appreciate you guys doing this every week. It's so much fun, and
Thank
I
you.
look forward to it every week. So
Yay. Yeah, you've been here since the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep.
So it's my weekly, just time for me type thing. So yeah.
Love
Good.
it.
That was
I'm-
the
Yeah.
intent.
Yeah, so
Okay.
grateful you guys are doing this though. Thank you so much.
I would like to say thank you too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I am an MS self-help group leader. I've told my group about it.
Oh,
So to
nice.
join. Yeah.
Yes, yes, we got to get your group members in.
Yeah.
Super
Everyone's
cool.
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Everyone's welcome to come. Thank you guys. I guess
Thank
I'll
Good night,
see you
everybody.
next week.
Good night. Thank you.